Some of these people with a art science degree. I don't even know what that is. I definitely ain't hiring somebody for an art science degree, you know? So, how did they think this was going to work in the real world? Who was going to need somebody with that art science degree? I want to know. I want to know who is hiring somebody with some of these bullshit degrees, you know, that you signed up for because you wanted to be an artist. Unbelievable. Let's watch.
Why nobody told me that the student loans will f your credit up if you don't pay them? Yo, I thought I could just ignore it like a medical bill. What do I do? That drop my credit so much.
These bitches crazy. Okay, guys, if you haven't already guessed, today we're talking about student loans and what a disaster they are. So let's take a look.
I've been paying on these loans for 15 or 20 years, and I still owe the exact same amount that I owed when I borrowed it. I have paid $50,000 to my $50,000 loan. I've paid over that, and I still owe like $47,000. They're never going away. I could pay on them for 50 years.
She said, I've been paying on these forever. Forever. They ain't going away. They'll go away eventually. Maybe.
And when I die, the bill will go in my casket with me. You want to know why people don't want to pay them? It's because they're never ending. It's not like a normal loan. They're impossible to pay, and the interest rates are astronomical, and they don't want us to be able to pay them off. They're predatory, and they should be illegal. Getting an education should be free. We live in America. Nothing is free. So in America, you can go to college for $200,000 and not even be guaranteed a job. If you get a job, you might make $20 an hour, the same as the guy at McDonald's, but have to pay.
Guys, how are you going to say they should be illegal when you signed for them? Like, I get that some of the loans probably were predatory. They definitely shouldn't have done some of the things, but you signed for it, so you're on the hook for it. After all, you got the education for it, so you should be able to pay for it now, right? That's what I'm thinking. We'll see.
My goal was also to go to art school for fine arts, so I ended up getting into Parsons and SVA in Manhattan, which are two incredible art schools. After 1 year of art school on Zoom and 1 year in classrooms, I am over $80,000 in debt.
Guys, I don't know what these people were thinking. They signed up on all this debt thinking they're going to get this great education. They're going to a left-wing liberal school and sign for all this debt. How'd you think it was going to be paid back? You know, like, how did you think that that money was going to be paid back? Hopefully by creating an income that afforded you to pay those back, but apparently that's not the case. Art school? Who the fuck is paying somebody for art? If it ain't a Picasso, it ain't, you know, who's paying for that? You're gonna get a bulletin board and throw some paint on it and call it art? I mean, I don't know. Who's paying you for this? You know, maybe you can teach kindergarten or something with an art degree. I don't know. Somebody should interview some of these people and ask them, well, what did you think you were going to do with an art degree? You know, or some of these people with a art science degree. I don't even know what that is. I definitely ain't hiring somebody for an art science degree, you know? So how did they think this was going to work in the real world? Who was going to need somebody with that art science degree? I want to know. I want to know who is hiring somebody with some of these bullshit degrees, you know, that you signed up for because you wanted to be an artist. Unbelievable. Let's watch.
I logged on to studentaid.gov today because my loans are in forbearance, and I figured, hey, maybe while they're in forbearance, I can make some extra payments and try and get the principal down. You can't. You have to pay the interest first. So not only do I have $5,000 of accrued interest, like already, the daily interest rate for my loans is $24.89. Which means if there's a 31-day month, in order for me to touch any bit of principal on my loans, I have to pay the $5,000, and then I also have to pay over $771.71 for any of my principal to ever be touched.
That is crazy. You know, $700-800 a month to just make that payment. I get it, but I don't understand. If you got a college degree, then that says you're sophisticated, you're educated, you're supposed to be smarter than the masses that maybe just graduated high school or have a GED or something. You're supposed to be smarter, and I can't for the life of me figure out how they can't do simple math to figure out the interest. You know, the interest on these payments. I for the life of me, I can't get that. I would like to know that too. Like, when and where can you borrow money and not have interest? That's never the case. You know, you're always going to have interest. They always try to separate it like it's two different things. It's not. It's the same thing. You still have to pay that. That comes off first, you know. You're not lending me money for nothing. So they're not going to lend you money for nothing. So you have to pay interest. That's how the world works. So stop being stupid and saying stupid shit.
Like, every single time I get an email, like, we're still arguing about the SAVE plan, so your loans are still in forbearance, but just know they're accruing interest. Babe, I don't care. I don't care what the f is going on with those.
Guys, right now, I think there is an estimated over $1.8 trillion in student loans. So they're still giving it out. They want you to forgive this. They're begging for it to be forgiven, but yet they're still giving out those student loans in ridiculous amounts and ridiculous numbers. So it's never going to be forgiven, you know? The student loan debt is the biggest asset on the government's balance sheet. So they're never going to forgive it. They might do a few people here and there to just for advertisements and things like that, but it's as a masses, it's not going to happen. So you got to take responsibility, buckle down, knuckle down, and just start paying it off. You know, just work it in your budget and start nipping at it. You know, you buy a car, you got interest. You buy a house, you got interest. You get a credit card, you buy interest. You got anything you use, it costs interest. That's what it costs to borrow money. And that's what you're doing, you know? You're borrowing money. There's something like over $1.8 trillion in debt right now. And there's something like 40 million people with student loans. 42, 43 million, I think, last I checked, with student loans. So that's a ridiculous number. You got to start just paying this stuff off and getting it out of your life, you know? Get out from under it, because it's never going away. You guys act like student, because you put student loan in front of, you know, student in front of loan, that somehow it's different than loan and borrowing money. It's not. It's borrowing money. Just because you put student in front of it doesn't make it any different than borrowing money like any other loan. A car, a house, a credit card, whatever it is. Solar panels, but don't even get me on that. Don't even get me started on that. But it's still, it's no different. They still have to be paid back. And these are, y'all act like they're better, and it's not. They're a loan, first off. Second off, they're even worse because you can't never get rid of them. You can't bankrupt these things. They're on there they're with you for life. So you guys, buckle down. Work some side gigs if you have to, some side jobs, second jobs, third jobs, and get these things paid off. Do not let them just destroy your life moving forward, okay? All right, we'll catch you guys on the next one.